It is a Friday baseball slate. We got another 13 gamer, so it's a monster slate going on. DC, Steve Boynton, Holden Kushner here. I see Uncle T and Mangone in the chat. Hope everybody's having a good day. We'll tell you all about our promotion we got coming up this summer once we got a few more people trickling in. Hit the like button if you're already in here. That's right. See that? James Sarconi. He knows what we're talking about. The like button would be great. It'd be great. It'd be absolutely amazing. Anyways, monster slate tonight, DC. Like, I guess this is typical Friday, right? Every weekend we say it's a monster slate on Friday, and we got a ton of games. So doesn't look like there's any weather concerns. Does look like ownership's going to be spread out everywhere for a 13-game slate. So, I mean, you can basically play whoever you want, right? At least in this instance, play whoever you want. Don't worry about ownership as much.
Yeah, I think that's we talk about it a lot, but I think that's kind of generally true for baseball, at least more than other sports. Any stack can win on any given night for sure. And, you know, on a 13-game slate, that's always going to be, of course, more true. But tonight, like you said, I think, it's even more the case. I think the highest total on the slate is like 5.25, no Coors Field. So there's no offense to me. Obviously, you know, we've got our favorites. We'll talk about all that stuff, favorite stacks. But there isn't any offense to me that really stands out as someone that the field is just going to absolutely load up on. I think that's somewhat true of pitching too. There are 5 or 6 guys that I think are really good options. I'm not sure we'll see anybody, you know, in like, say, the big $15 tournament on DraftKings exceed any pitcher or hitter, frankly, exceed 30% ownership, I think is possible tonight. So it will be very spread out. It makes for a fun slate. And like you said, Holden, I do think that makes for a slate where you don't got to worry so much about what other people are doing. Try to make the best lineup you can and roll with it. So, yeah, very fun 13-game slate ahead of us tonight.
Yeah, Steve, I'm going to get a lot of your thoughts on the slate here. But more importantly, what's going on this weekend? What's happening? Any dates? Any parties? How many White Claws? What's going on?
I'll be at the pool tomorrow. Didn't go last weekend until Monday. I actually walked by the pool that we have here, or building, earlier at like 2:00 in the afternoon, and it was fully packed. So apparently no one was working today at all. Packed pool at 2:00 on a weekday. I was not expecting that. But it's been hot here in Chicago all week. I think it's going to be hot all weekend. So excited to be outside. And I think that's kind of a theme that we can drag on with this slate too, you know, hot in the Midwest and the East Coast and pretty chilly on the West Coast. So we haven't really had that dichotomy between big games much yet this season, but we're getting to that time of year where that stuff matters.
Shout out to the PoGen, DGen Stoner, Wake and Bake from Weld County, Colorado. He's back again. There's nothing better than a guy that wakes up at around 3:15 in the afternoon, hits the bong, and then watches the show. Anybody else hanging out with him, by all means, let us know. So let me tell you before we get into the slate, the first time of many times, maybe 4 times, Summer 33. I mean, this is a ridiculous promotion. 33% off your subscription. Are you kidding me? Summer 33. You get in now and you kind of lock in your price for the NFL. So that's nice. We still got probably 3 or 4 games of the NBA Finals for Showdown. That was a lot of fun last night. By the way, DC, just being in the Denver area. All right, finally, there's a little buzz about the Nuggets. It maybe the 9-day layoff and all the other playoff games. I didn't feel the buzz. Tony got on. Big T's like, oh, man, I wasn't feeling it. I felt it this morning.
I'm glad you felt the buzz, Holden. And do you feel better now about the Nuggets that the buzz is in the city with the air vibrating a little bit? And you're feeling good. Steve, your bet did not cash. You said that Holden was going to mention the Joker in the first 3 minutes of the show. Oh. Took him 5 minutes. So,
I didn't mention him. I haven't said his name.
Yeah, I did. I didn't even mention it. And I had a minus 1,000 were the odds. So
what do you win? What do you win?
Cash your tickets? I don't know. I should have taken it up.
God, you're the worst better ever.
I thought it was a stone lock for sure. Yeah,
you're the worst better ever, dude. And it started with Titletown, and you never had to massage Tony's feet. And thank God. And now Steve is losing bets because of you. It's absolutely amazing.
I haven't made any like truly horrendous bets that have absolutely no upside for me on the air in quite some time. I'm sure that'll be rectified at some point in the near future.
Yeah, it's a long summer.
Yeah,
very long.
I'll be back at some point.
A very long summer, my man. Yeah, Uncle T says you got a cool shirt on, Steve. I can't see it. Did you stand up just a little bit? Well,
from Faceballism, it's 6 + 4 + 3 = 2.
Yeah, very good. Does anybody walk around in the street and say, what the hell does that mean? Because the math doesn't add up?
I get asked about it a couple times a year. Yeah.
Oh, a couple times a year. All right. Very good. Jason Graham also wants to know, DC, are you doing a UFC show? If so, what time? Because when you use Summer 33, you get 33% off. So there you go.
Yes. Title's been under the weather all week, so that's the reason we didn't do it today. We're hoping he will be good to go. Show is tentatively scheduled for 11 Eastern time tomorrow. I think if Title doesn't do it, me and JSU are just going to pull it off. So there should be a show on, UFC 11 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning.
All right. So that's, again, you get all the sports, one low price, best deal you're going to get this year. YouTube TV, I don't know if any of you have it, but they're like Sunday ticket package. Get it now. It's $100 off. Get it now. Just get in now. Write it for the next year. It's going to be terrific. Summer 33. Enough of the spiel besides for like button. Don't give thoughts and prayers to Title Pojen. He's fine. He's got COVID.
Title didn't get his 17th booster, so I think he's feeling the effects of COVID a little bit too much.
He's going to be fine. He's going to be just fine. You don't have a blood clot. Nothing's going. Butthole Jenkins, can cut the crap. I need multiple dong picks. I'm not giving you any of those. That's disgusting. And if you ask me that again, Butthole, I'm probably going to have to suspend you from the chat. It's mighty uncomfortable. And even though we don't have HR, I wish you'd stop asking me for dong picks. So we get into pitching. And tonight, it's just all over the place, dude. DC, I guess we could start 8K and up. And there's a lot of dudes in there. Verlander sitting there at 8-6 against the Blue Jays. Kershaw really hasn't been the same since his mom passed. We'll see if he can get on track against the Yankees this evening. Wheeler against the Nationals. And then can you start up top at 10-1 with Shohei Ohtani at Houston? And on the other side is Frydenberg going against the Angels at 10-1. So 8K and above, my man.
Yeah, I think it's pretty tight up here, honestly. And it is a slate where I think you can make a reasonable case for 4 or 5 pitchers. It's kind of hard for me to differentiate between the two. I'm kind of hoping Steve has maybe stronger takes than I do, because I see these guys mostly pretty similarly. I did list Kershaw as my number one option tonight. Like you said, Holden, he has had 3 rough starts in a row. I believe the first 2 happened before his mother passed away. He went on bereavement, didn't look great against the Rays. But pretty tough matchups, especially the last 2. Tampa Bay, St. Louis, 2 of the best teams against lefties. The metrics still look pretty good for him. I do think Kershaw is going to get it going again soon. Hopefully tonight. I actually kind of like this matchup against the Yankees. They do get Giancarlo Stanton back. Obviously, Judge can do damage, but there's still a lot of strikeouts to be had in that lineup. And, I'm not sure getting Stanton back isn't a good thing for Kershaw, at least his strikeout upside. So I do like him, especially with the savings, that $1,700 savings you get from Ohtani. I do think goes places on this slate because there's not that many, at least I don't see like cheap stacks that I'm super interested in. So I listed Kershaw number 1. It is partly the savings. I like that he's at home, big favorite here, or pretty big favorite against the Yankees. I went Valdez too. He is cheaper than Ohtani. Ohtani and Valdez obviously squaring off here in Houston. Not an ideal matchup, I would say, for either of them, but they're both obviously very good pitchers, very different pitchers, right? Valdez isn't the super strikeout guy, just quality start after quality start. I think Valdez is probably the safest option on the board. Ohtani definitely has more strikeout upside. I think Ohtani, if you had to make me pick one pitcher to lead the slate in fantasy points, Ohtani would be that choice. I also think he's got more downside than Valdez and probably Kershaw too. So yeah, just kind of depends on what you're looking for there. But yeah, those are the 3 guys that I like the best. That's Kershaw, Valdez, Ohtani in that order. Closely followed by Zach Wheeler, who has had kind of an on the surface, not bad season, but 3.6 ERA. He hasn't been flawless. He looks good to me though. Velocity's up. Like I think a run is coming here for Wheeler. Problem is for him, this Nationals lineup just doesn't strike out very often. So that's kind of what you're looking for with Wheeler anyway. And if they're able to make contact, really warm weather in Washington, D.C., ball will be flying. There's some risk for Wheeler. And then if we go down to my two, we'll just run through them all, I guess. My two favorite cheaper options. Doing your job for you, Holden. I saw
You got 90 minutes to fill, buddy. You need to settle down. Settle down, Draft Sheet. Jeez, man.
I don't want to be accused of being long-winded again, so you're right. Thank you for cutting me off.
You got it.
Yeah.
That's it? You're done? Good. Steve Boynton up top. You know what's interesting about Framber is the Angels hit lefties really well. The problem is that he's Framber and he's really good. He keeps the ball on the ground, right? Ohtani versus Framber tonight. And are you going to have much of either one of them, Steve?
Yeah, the Angels have been hitting a bit lately, but on the season against lefties, bottom 10 team in a lot of the advanced metrics, and they do strike out a ton. 5th most against lefties on the season, 2nd most over the last 2 weeks. Framber just so consistent. He's at home here. I trust him a ton. I think you can play both in that game. A little bit concerned with Ohtani with the matchup just because Houston is such a hot and cold team. They were cold for a while, DC, but over the last week or two, the bats have really come alive. So, yeah, I mean, the strikeout upside is huge for Ohtani. He's got the highest prop on the board. But guys like Framber and Kershaw are right behind him. Closer than usual for guys that are up near 11K. Usually you'll get 1.5 or 2 strikeouts between them and the guys in the 9K range. So, like DC said, it's hard to pick between these guys. This might be the best slate of the year overall, just with the amount of options that we have at starting pitcher and for bats. I think Framber is my favorite here. I really like Kershaw at 9K. I think it's a great bounce back spot. The Yankees striking out a lot, getting Stanton back just adds to their strikeout rate. Over the last 2 weeks in our hand in the chart that we have up on the site, Yankees highest strikeout rate in baseball against lefties, dead last in both weighted runs created plus and ISO in the split. So they're not hitting lefties right now. We just saw what Kirby did to them in Seattle. I like Kershaw a good bit, hoping that he goes under the radar a bit with all these options, but it's kind of tough to say, and I'm not too concerned. The guys who I'm going to have less of in this range are Castillo and Zach Wheeler. Really prefer to use Luis Castillo at home. He's been just nails at home, pretty average on the road this year. The Rangers just won't stop hitting. I know that they did tag him in Seattle when they faced him earlier this season. Top 5 offense in baseball against right-handed pitching. It just doesn't seem like I need to take that risk with so many options that I do like on the slate. I think Wheeler is fine. I think he's going to come in pretty owned here, though, coming off the 40-plus last start. It is kind of funny because going into that start, no one really wanted to play him, and now everyone's talking about how great he is. Like DC said, the Nats just don't strike out at all. 29th ranked strikeout rate against right-handed pitching on the season and over the last 2 weeks. Just kind of a pesky team, and it is hot in DC. So I do prefer Kershaw and Framber and even Logan Webb. I like at 9.7. I think he's interesting. No Mountcastle in the lineup tonight for Baltimore, so that weakens them a bit. They've got Adam Frazier leading off. Aaron Hicks is hitting 6. O'Hearn is in the lineup. So pretty weak Orioles lineup. And like we mentioned earlier, there's a huge difference in the weather on this slate with the East Coast versus the West Coast. So I'm kind of using that as a tiebreaker, right? Would I rather use Webb when it's 55 degrees in the Giants ballpark, or would I rather use Wheeler when it's 90 degrees in DC? So that's kind of what I'm using to break the tie. So 9K and up, my favorites are Framber, Kershaw, Ohtani, and Webb.
Okay. And I kind of want to have a discussion about Verlander when we get down there. There's like 2 starts, 6 runs he's given him up then, and he kind of sandwiches it with great starts. And it's very interesting at 8,600 DC, just getting into him a little bit more. It's like the name pops out, the stuff is there, The 2 out of 3 starts have not been very good, but what do you think about Verlander? A little bit of detail.
Yeah, I've been off him all season, really. I don't think I've played him yet, which so far has been a pretty good choice for the most part. I mean, he's 40 years old. He was injured to start the year. The new rules, I think, seems like they've maybe kind of hurt these older pitchers a little bit more. Like Scherzer hasn't had a great season. Verlander, not great. The problem with Verlander right now, not getting the whiffs on his slider. It's not had the same bite to it. I think last year it had like a 29% whiff rate. This year it's down to like 17. So that's something that could come around. But it's, they're doing the sticky stuff enforcement too this year, which I think, I don't know, coming out of Houston, there could be something there where he's not getting the same tilt to that slider. And that's the one pitch against this Blue Jays team that I think he would need to have success, especially against that top 3 all right-handed hitters, Springer, Bichette, Guerrero. So I couldn't do it with Verlander. The $8,600 price tag on him, I get it. That is certainly enticing. He gets to pitch at home. It's a pitcher's park. There are things to like here. To me, he's not the same caliber of pitcher as the 5 guys we talked about, right? Ohtani, Valdez, Kershaw, Webb, and even Wheeler. I think Verlander right now is kind of a tier behind those guys just in general. He has a tougher matchup than most of them, so I couldn't get there with Verlander.
All right, we'll keep going here and get more of DC and Steve's thoughts on starting pitcher, but it is time to let you know, hit the like button. We got about 300 watching, so we'd like 150 on the likes, 300 watching right now. You guys will come in and out, and it'll be where it needs to be by the end of time. Second of all, Summer 33. Get in right now, 33% off your subscription, and you're kind of buying in for the long term. It's a monster discount, and the difference between this one and the rest of the industry is you get our optimizer too, SaberSim. So usually you got to pay for an optimizer. Don't got to pay for an optimizer here. We're full swing in Major League Baseball season, NBA showdowns, golf, the golf. We got Stanley Cup showdown, I suppose, MMA, NASCAR is still rolling, tennis. Susie's been killing it. If you play tennis and Roland Garros, they're going nuts, USFL. So everything you can get, one price, 33% off. That's about it. JW, 1865. Holden wishes he was DC, and it shows.
Nobody wishes that, for one.
I really don't think so, JW. I don't think anyone wishes.
I wonder what you're doing that would make Mr. JW, how are you showing?
I don't know. Just giving facts about pitchers, maybe?
I wasn't all about the Holden roast in the chat, but this one,
there's 0% chance that I want to switch places with him. It probably is Boynton too. Boynton, you don't want to switch with DC, do you? No, come on.
I would rather switch with DC than with Holden.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm older.
That's a great
answer. 10 years younger than you.
Yeah, it is. It's all about age right there. You're right. So that's not a bad way to go about it, Steve. You're still wrong, but let's get to the rest of the pitching here, and we'll go down a little farther below Verlander. I don't know. You want to talk about Merrill Kelly again, but Ober, Bassett, we got Charlie Morton, who I'm actually looking at Arizona tonight, guys. John Gray is probably going to be pretty popular too. What about the rest of the slate here, DC? We got a lot of pitchers to sift through, and if you don't want to talk about some, go for it.
I wish I could switch lives with Uncle T. He says he ain't switching. He loves my guy DC. I would love to take Uncle T's life. That would be great. I get to have lunch treated to me by Big T himself every at least twice a week. Man, it would be awesome.
20-year-old Holden was a little too crazy, man. Going. Plus, I got a lot of puss back then, and you would not have been able to hang with me. So keep going, DC. How about the pitching?
So cheaper guys. So we talked about the high end. I do think paying up for 2 high-end pitchers is probably a good way to go today. Steve and I, we were talking. I think you're going to need 20 plus out of both of your pitchers. So anytime that's the case, I think it kind of eliminates a lot of pitchers because you're just going to be chasing it most likely when there's all these good options. But there is a couple guys that are cheaper who I think could get you there. Charlie Morton, the first, I'm seeing him projected around 5% ownership, which is pretty nice for a guy with his strikeout upside. He's always kind of up and down all over the place. You never know quite what you're going to get out of Charlie Morton, but the strikeouts have certainly been there. And he's had a brutal run of matchups. Last 5 starts, he's faced the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Rangers, the Red Sox, the Mets. And he's performed pretty damn well despite that run of opponents. Strikeouts 9, 5, 10, 7, 6. He gets to throw 100 pitches every start out. He's cheap at 7,800. Like I said, it's going to be very low owned. And I know this Diamondbacks team has a decent offense, not a ton of strikeouts there, but I'm kind of a believer in Morton right now. He's missing a ton of bats. I think he's a guy who could get you or approach double-digit strikeouts at a low ownership. So he's one guy I'm willing to spend down on. And then the other guy, kind of a complete opposite pitcher to Charlie Morton. I don't really believe in him, but Michael Wacha, he does have one of the best matchups on this slate, all things considered. This Cubs lineup, they started off hot, Steve, but, man, they've been pretty cold for a while, it seems. You've got Wacha at home in San Diego. And, I mean, at a certain point, you got to look what the guy is putting up. It's, 16, 20, 40, 22, 17 from Wacha, and tougher matchups than this one. So I kind of dug into Wacha. I really couldn't figure out what's leading him to this success, but sometimes you just got to roll with it. He is a pretty big favorite here. 7,400. He provides savings. I wish I could kind of buy into him as a pitcher more long-term. Can't really get there on that, but for tonight, I do think he's a pretty good option, 7,400. And that pretty much rounds it out for me for the guys I'm personally looking at. Bailey Ober, another guy I think you could consider at 8,400 against this anemic Cleveland offense. But, yeah, mostly paying up, and then Morton and Wacha, the two guys I'm mostly considering down low for cheaper.
All right, Steve, let's go through the rest of the pitching matchups here tonight. Who's standing out to you below the top tier of guys, this tier?
Yeah, so below 9K, we talked about Verlander earlier. Not on him. Like DC said, the swing strike rate is really low. Like he's got this basically the same swing strike rate as Jameson Taillon, Mike Clevenger, guys that I think we're going to be attacking on this slate. So not going there personally. I think there are a couple guys that I would be interested on a different type of slate. That I think if you're playing a bunch of lineups here that are interesting. Tyler Glasnow came back last time, threw 83 pitches, struck out 8 guys. He's in Fenway, which isn't great, but I would probably argue that 8,300 or no, he's 7,900. Sorry. Probably the cheapest that we see him the rest of the season if he stays healthy. So, guys down here who have big strikeout upside, like DC mentioned with Morton, is I think the way to go on this slate. You want guys with big strikeout upside to match the 10K guys, not guys that we think are just going to go deep. So I think John Gray is interesting. He's just been nails the last month. Decently easy matchups. He faced Oakland, Colorado, but then was really good in Baltimore last time. That kind of surprised me there. I'm just not sure that I need to take that risk. Seattle does strike out a bunch. So I guess if you're on more expensive bats than I am, I think John Gray is a reasonable play. And then the last guy that I think I would play him on a smaller slate. I played him last time. No one was on him. Severino looked really, really good in that Padres start. Was throwing 100, missing bats. I think might just be too tough of a matchup here to take that risk in LA. But Severino, like if he's going to continue to be around 7K DC, I think that we'll be playing him on slates moving forward. So to kind of wrap that up, under 9K, I think Glasnow is interesting. I think Morton's interesting, and John Gray, I think, are my 3 favorites. Not going to any of the cheap guys. I think you can make a case for Merrill Kelly because of how good he's been at home and how good he's been recently. I'm just scared of the power there with Atlanta and not sure I just need to go there on the slate with Kershaw only 300 more than him.
All right, very good. Can you guys touch on pitching on FanDuel, please, from P. Lally? Before you guys do that real quick, I do want to, I forgot, let's get a roll call. Where is everybody today? Look at a roll call. We got Colorado over here. We got south of Denver. We got north of Denver with DC. We got the West Loop. If you want Steve's address, I can give that out too. If you want exactly where Steve is, that would be wonderful. Do you have a concierge that won't let people in the building, Steve?
Yes.
You do. All right. Well, that's good. All right. So a little roll call. I want to know where everybody is today. I know we had like Mississippi, Canada, a whole bunch of stuff yesterday.
It's cheaper than the private security you need living like 30 miles away from Holden. So, yeah.
There are a lot of kids around here, DC. FanDuel pitching in order. What's the pool tonight, DC?
Honestly, it's not that much different. Most of the prices are relatively similar. The biggest difference is Ohtani is $600 more expensive than Valdez on DraftKings. He's $400 cheaper on FanDuel, but most of the stuff is pretty much the same. I don't really see a huge difference. I do think like guys like Morton and Waka, the two cheaper guys that I was interested in on DraftKings, they're closer to the highest price pitchers on FanDuel, so I think I would stick mostly to the high-end guys. Not a ton changes. I do think you can kind of mix and match, interchange. I'll stick with Kershaw as my favorite pitcher on the slate, kind of regardless of price. But yeah, Ohtani, if you're looking for the price discrepancy, he's the biggest one.
Yeah, same thoughts here. I think Wheeler's a worse play on FanDuel. He's basically priced up there with Framber and Ohtani. So don't have much interest in Wheeler over on FanDuel.
Butthole, I was just down in the Springs today, man. I want to move down to the Springs. Best place. It's the best place in Colorado where I could move. We got Green Bay. Love it. P. Lally's in Rhode Island. We got Central Florida.
We got in Northern Virginia.
Atlanta. Yeah, he says he's out in – so he's listening in D.C.
That's not Northern Virginia. Bristow is not Northern Virginia.
No, it's not. You're in like –
it's out in the sticks.
Virginia. Manassas. There's like Civil War battles and shit out there. Mississippi, Mississippi. Sacramento. CC Kings, you big Kings fan, huh? That's probably why he has Kings in his name. Anyways, hit the like button. Let's get into offense here. There's 13 games, so got a lot to break down. And we'll start in Washington where it's warm, maybe a little precip, should get the game in. Zach Wheeler's, Josiah Gray. DC, my sense is you don't want to target Wheeler. What about some Phillies against Gray?
Yeah, I think Philly's actually my favorite stack here, although I do like it better as a mini stack. So, yeah, I'm not really on the Nationals. So the Philly side, they're mixing up their lineup tonight. Kyle Schwarber's been hitting fifth pretty much every game all season. Into the leadoff spot here, he might have been there for some games to start the year, but it's been a long time. He's been really struggling, Kyle Schwarber in particular. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just a narrative, probably nothing street, but I was happy to see them mix up the lineup a little bit. And it does make sense in this particular matchup against this particular team. Josiah Gray, he's a guy who has kind of come through for RPS at times. He's got some talent, but it's kind of been falling apart for him more under the radar than on the surface stats. He's almost got as many walks as strikeouts in the month of May, which is always kind of an alarming stat that I like to look at. Like he's at like 5.6 strikeouts per 9 in May and like 4.9 walks, like really, really dangerous ratio. And he hasn't given up a ton of home runs this year, but he's got a long history of getting absolutely hammered by left-handed bats. I do think that's more likely to return than not. And then I talk about it, pretty much every time the Nationals play, they somehow don't have a single left-hander in the bullpen, which seems like a very, very poor strategy to me, but is very advantageous to the top of this Phillies lineup. Schwarber, Stott, Harper all swing from the left side. They've all got a little bit of speed. I know Schwarber hasn't been running this year. He did steal 10 bases last year. You can run on Josiah Gray. And then, they all hit righties much better than lefties. 90 degrees in D.C. That's a park that plays very hitter-friendly when it's hot and humid like it is today, and not so much in the spring and maybe deep into the year in September. So I love these Phillies lefties. That Schwarber, Stott, Harper, is part of my core tonight. I like it on both sites. Schwarber is painful to watch, but the one time I did give Steve shit for playing him in the Discord, he hit a grand slam that game. I don't think he's gotten a hit.
First inning, I think.
I don't think he's gotten a hit since then, but
he hasn't done shit since then.
So, Steve, I need you to shit on Kyle Schwarber so we can get a home run out of him today. But, yeah, I love this top of the Phillies lineup. Of course, you can go play guys like Castellanos, Turner, JT Realmuto. But for me, the priorities are really the top three, Schwarber, Stott, Harper. Three of my favorite plays on the slate, all hitting back to back to back. And, they'll be on most of my lineups, frankly. And then, like I said, not going to the national side of this one for offense.
I don't know what you just said. I was just looking. Yuri and Eric are both in LA, so that's kind of cool. Is that Los Angeles or Louisiana? Anyway, Steve, I do know you like Schwarber a little bit.
This is one where at the end of the day, you'll say your play of the day, and it'll be one of the right-handers from Philadelphia.
I'll be like, who? Who are you talking
Reese
about?
Hoskins.
Reese Hoskins, okay. Steve, maybe you could take a break from beefing about Northern Virginia geography to give us a breakdown of this game in Washington, D.C., Southeast D.C., as a matter of fact.
Yeah. DC's right. This ballpark does play smaller during the summer when it's hot and humid in Washington, as you know, Holden. I think the Phillies are deservedly super popular here. I think that they might come in as the highest owned on the slate. I've been playing them all week, DC, which is why I'm not going to play them here. So I'll get off of them, and you can have
the game where they crush. Schwarber, please.
Yeah. So Schwarber's been terrible. Been playing him all week. His price keeps going down. I can't play him here.
There we go.
No. Philly's a good stack. I'm actually trying to decide on my fifth team between Philly and one other team. The lineup just looks so good against righties. I will say the results have been better. It seems like he figured something out when he went to more cutters and just not trying to strike every single batter out that he faces. But yeah, it's a powerful lineup. My worry is just that they've been pretty cold, especially in the power department, but that can obviously turn around at any moment.
All right, that's game number one. Let's get into game number two, and then I'll give you the spiel on the like button and Summer 33 code for those of you that have not signed up yet. Flaherty, Roansy Contreras. He's coming out of the bullpen back into the rotation. DC, you tell me, can you trust the St. Louis bats tonight? And then as far as Flaherty, I don't want to use the Pittsburgh bats, but I also don't want to use Flaherty as a pitcher. So what do you want to do with these St. Louis bats? Any chance you play them?
Yeah, I like both sides for offense.
Really?
Just in either pitcher. Jack Flaherty has been kind of a hard one to figure out this year. I've been generally fading him and stacking against him. He's had a couple good starts here and there, but I think he's got still a lot more blowups coming in his future. And I kind of like this Pittsburgh offense. I know they've been cold for a while. I still see a lot of upside among these hitters. Jack Swinsky, Brian Reynolds. Swinsky's one of the bigger boomer bust plays, but he's had 2 multi-home run games in the last week or two. Maybe has 3 overall on the slate. Flaherty's velocity down a little bit last start. In this game, essentially the same weather in Pittsburgh as it is in Washington, D.C., 90 degrees, wind blowing out. This park will play hitter friendly tonight. And I think Pittsburgh could absolutely do some damage here. Reynolds, Sawinski, my 2 favorite bats, but Marcano, McCutchen, Santana, Bay, I think you could go easily down to those guys if you wanted to for Pittsburgh. So, I'm in on Pittsburgh. And, Cardinals look good too. Roansy Contreras, talented young pitcher. Really hasn't shown much in terms of results, though, so far at the big league level. Cardinals, they haven't performed super well this year, but it's still a dangerous lineup. I think Nolan Gorman, my favorite, lefty swinging Nolan Gorman hitting third tonight, my favorite of the bunch. Goldschmidt second for me. They did call up Jordan Walker today. Lars Nootbaar went on the IL. Walker, obviously a top prospect for them, so he's an interesting play down there at 3,300. So, no interest in the pitchers, but I think you can go to either offense here. Actually, slightly prefer the Pittsburgh side of this one.
All right, very good. Any Pirates or Cardinals there? Boynton?
Yeah, I'm on the Cardinals here. This is actually deciding between the Phils or the Cardinals as my last team stack. man, I was kind of hoping that Roansy would be a better pitcher than this DC. He just hasn't figured out how to miss bats at the major league level. Pretty low swing strike rate, has been really bad to lefties. Expected ERA over 6 against lefties with, 3.2 strikeouts per 9 against left-handed bats. Like DC said, really warm in Pittsburgh, kind of unique. I'm not sure that we've had a day this warm there this year. The Cardinals bats are kind of expensive, but overall as a stack, I think that you can get away with it. We got guys like Donovan and Burleson who are pretty cheap and swing it from the left side. So I think this is a great stack, the Cardinals. And I don't play Cardinals too often. So I think I'm going to take a dive and play some cards here. I didn't get to the Pirates, but I do get it. I have not played Flaherty all season. Seems like kind of a head case, like with his quotes in the media. They've been challenging him on his velocity. He's making fun of reporters and stuff.
He doesn't feel like he's in a super great place mentally. I agree with you.
Yeah. So I don't mind the Pirates call. Just I can't play everyone. So didn't get there.
All right, very good. Like button would be awesome. Summer 33, 33% off the subscription. You're going to get all of our sports. We got 100 days. Well, that's for Red Zone. We got about 96 days until the NFL is back. So super excited about that, but lots going on still. NBA Showdown. You might as well check it out. Big T, JSU, AP, all the guys. Rubio's been killing it. Rubio's WNBA stuff is up, by the way. We even do WNBA here. Come on, check it out. Subscribe. Summer 33. You're not going to find a better deal in the business. You get our optimizer from SaberSim, too. You get that thrown in there. You're not going to see it anywhere else. Thumbs up. That would be great. Let's get into our next game. That's going to be Tampa Bay and Boston, Glasnow and Whitlock. The interesting thing here, DC, is that the Rays are a 500 team here over the last 3-4 weeks. Their bullpen has been absolutely abysmal. So maybe the Boston bats can get something going later in this game. I don't know how popular either side's going to be, though. So talk to me. Rays, Red Sox, and Fenway. What do you got?
First off, more weather concern here than I thought there was going to be. It's kind of developed here in the last, really the last 40 minutes that we've been on. I still think the most likely thing is they play this game. They're scheduled for 4 games here this weekend. I think a doubleheader tomorrow, obviously tonight, and then Sunday. So I think they'll be motivated to try to get this in. Obviously couldn't, add another game to Saturday or Sunday, given the schedule. But if it's raining all night, they won't play. So this will probably end up being a game where you don't want to have, one pitcher or 2 hitters from the game. I think there's going to be some risk no matter what. And if you play it, probably want to play a full-on stack from this game and hope that it plays and just kind of be willing to write that lineup off if it doesn't go your way. Because I do think, from what I can see, this game starts an hour from now. It's probably not going to be super clear or not whether or not they're going to be able to get this one in. So that said, Glasnow, Steve talked about him a little bit. I do think he's an interesting contrarian option if you're willing to risk it. Obviously, pitchers are even more risky than hitters given the weather. Whitlock, no interest there. I did like the Rays stack a bunch, and I still do like him for sure. Whitlock, I just don't think is that great. But like I said, with the weather risk, if I'm playing the Rays, I'm playing a full 5-man here, and worst thing in the world that could happen to you as a DFS player is to hit the nuts and have a single one-off rained out from your lineup and finish 10 points short or something, right? It's just a nightmare scenario. So I think you either got to go all in or all out in this game. I don't find myself on this game much in general in my 5 lineups. So obviously I'm less concerned than people that are playing it would be. We'll give an update. Holden, try to remind me. I'll try to remember. If not, closer to lock, if we make it that far. But for now, I do think it'll play, but definitely some risk from what I can see. I do like the Rays side better than the Red Sox side, but Glasnow is, the Red Sox and Fenway are always dangerous, I think, against any pitcher, and you can really run on Glasnow. So there is some upside here for the Red Sox if you're willing to take that risk as well.
Not as worried as you are. Just going to tell you that right now. Not as worried as you are. But
Okay.
we'll defer to you on the show as the official weatherman of the show. I'm just looking into it here. Not as worried. Steve Boynton, let's go. What do you got?
I'm a bit worried too.
That's fine. It's 2 against 1. I'll take it.
I wasn't worried an hour ago, and I really like the spot for
same.
Tampa.
Okay.
They've been kind of frustrating all week. They were here in Chicago with nice weather all week, and they just kind of sucked the entire week. Might be them coming back to earth a bit, but I still believe in this lineup. The lineup, pretty much 1 through 9, has been dangerous against right-handed pitching all season. So you can really play any of them. I do like the back half of the order too. Like guys like Jose Siri has been hitting for a ton of power. And like DC said, Whitlock just, not a super inspiring arm, gives up a ton of power, especially to left-handers, over 2.5 home runs per 9 this season against lefties. So if the weather turns around a bit, in the next 45 minutes or so, I'll be on Tampa. I had them on my list, but I'm a bit concerned now. And on a 13-game slate, it's not a slam dunk spot, right? Where I want to jam it anyways and just take the risk. So we'll see.
I'm just looking at the radar right now. It's amazing. Well, I got to tell you guys. Yep, I'm with you. All right, we're back on DC side with Steve Boynton. That's it. All I had to do is look at the.
Yes, I'm with you.
It does look a little. It looks a little gross. Okay, no question about that. Like button to be great. Come on, help us out. Help yourself out. Great information for free. Subscribers, you know how great things are here at Run Pure Sports. The other thing I want to mention is the Discord and the community. That's kind of fun. Hanging out with people, talking shit, asking questions, getting good answers. Not just from the coordinators, but good debates from a lot of our subscribers too. So just something else to check out at RPS. Summer 33 is the code there. All right, so maybe a little bit of precip in New York with the Mets hosting the Blue Jays. We talked about Verlander, and then we got Chris Bassett. And I wonder if you're on the Mets a little bit here because Bassett's had some hiccups. He's given up 5 bombs in the last 2 games, DC.
Yeah, I didn't end up getting to either of these 2 offenses, but I would rather play the offenses here than either pitcher. I'll say that much. I'm not a huge believer in Bassett. He's a guy who does kind of pitch beyond his, peripheral under the hood stats to a regular basis, but I still think the Mets could do damage here against Bassett for sure. Obviously, the Mets have a very dangerous lineup that can go off at any time. So, yeah, I don't mind them as a contrarian stack. I think everybody, frankly, in this game is going to be low owned. Both pitchers, both offenses. So if you want to go to this game, if you've got to lean from either side, this is a good spot to do it in a tournament. Nobody's going to play this game from what I can see. I like the Mets side a little bit better, but, man, even the Blue Jays side, I don't think it's crazy. Verlander hasn't been that good. It's one of the most dangerous offenses in baseball. You get the guaranteed full 9 innings of at-bats, and I definitely still think Verlander for where I think his skills are, I think the general public probably thinks he's better than he is, and the stack would be higher. The Blue Jays would be higher owned if it was a different name pitcher with the same skills that Verlander has. Yeah. If that makes sense. So, yeah, I didn't get to the Blue Jays, but I wouldn't talk anyone off them. I could see them doing damage here. I'd probably stick to the top half of that line if I go to the Blue Jays. So,
okay, do you want any Blue Jays? This Chris Bassett revenge, so watch out. Ooh.
I do like the Mets here. I think they're in a really good spot against Bassett, who just can't get lefties out whatsoever. I do wish that the Mets had more lefties, but just overall as a team, they've really turned the corner against right-handed pitching. Over the last 2 weeks, 3rd in weighted runs created plus and number 1 in ISO. So the Mets have finally turned the corner against right-handed pitching. They've got power throughout the lineup. They've got the cheap 9-hole hitter catcher who hits for power. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm playing Mets, I'm prioritizing all 4 lefties plus the cheap catcher. So, yeah, I mean, I'm on Mets. I'm going to have them as a 5-man tonight for sure.
All right, guys, Seattle, Texas is our next game. We kind of talked about John Gray going to the mound and how he's looked pretty good lately. And then you got Castillo on the other side. And I think it'd be easy to just say, let's just fade this game. There's two really good pitchers. But we think outside of the box, maybe a little bit of a one-off here, DC, or is it just a case where there's so many games on the schedule, we could just cross this one out with a total of 8?
Yeah, I think actually the pitchers are the more interesting plays here. We didn't talk much about really either guy. At least I didn't. But yeah, I mean, Castillo, I think, is capable of a gem outing against anybody. He's got that type of talent in his arm. So yeah, if you want to get away from the higher owned pitchers and get to a guy of similar talent, that just has a little bit tougher matchup. But we see it in every sport. The true talents are able to overcome the tough matchups all the time. They're just less likely to do so, right, on any given night. So Castillo, I think, is a fun contrarian option. John Gray, I'm a little worried I maybe overlooked that one. I think you can play, especially right-handed pitchers against the Seattle offense. There's strikeouts galore. I mean, talk about this. I can't remember who it was, but even like the good hitters in Seattle that are hitting well, Julio, Kelenic, right? Those are kind of the two big bats. They got 30% strikeout rates essentially against right-handed pitching. So, yeah, I think Gray, given him with the way he's pitched, could absolutely rack up strikeouts here. I assume the roof is closed, Steve. I don't know if you've seen that.
I'll look it up now.
If it's open, that means it's cooler weather, right? So it doesn't matter too much. But, yeah, I think John Gray, 7,600. I'll throw him in there in the Morton Walk-a-bin in that 7K range as a pretty solid play tonight.
Okay.
Roof closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they are wearing their what is this? The special patch is Lou Gehrig Day this weekend?
Today, I think.
It is today. All right.
Yeah.
Those are pretty cool uniforms I'm looking at here for Texas too. That's kind of cool. All right. You got anything from this game, Steve?
No, on a 13 gamer, don't have to play them all. I'm on John Gray here, and a little bit of Castillo. No bats here for me.
All right. I'm interested in both your thoughts here on Colorado, Kansas City. There's some coordinators that like Kansas City a lot. I would think AP is, what do we call it? 6 to midnight. He's got a boner over this game from the Royal side, no question. So DC, do you agree with AP's boner?
I always agree with AP's boner. I love the reach around stacks that he often recommends.
Jeez, that's right. He's the reach around guy. That's a great pull.
Anytime the Kansas City Royals have one of the higher team totals on the day, you don't even need to check AP scores. You know who's going to be in there. It's going to be the Royal Blue. They'll be flying. The AP will be running with the flag. If you're in Discord, you know what I'm talking about. And I do like the Royals here. Both these pitchers just suck, right? Chase Anderson, Jordan Lyles. They're two pitchers. There's some pitchers where I have specific things I like to target, whether that be, from either side of the plate, righties or lefties or speedsters. These two pitchers, you can just kind of play anybody against them, I think. So, Royals make a lot of sense. Really good hitting weather in Kansas City, 80 degrees and humid, 60% humidity. Ball will be flying in Kansas City. We have seen this movie a few times, though, where Kansas City, I feel like they kind of are a little twinsy of last year, which, not to pat myself on the back, I feel like I've done a pretty good job of staying away from the Twins for the most part this season. We'll see if I can continue that. But, I think the Royals make sense. The Rockies, man, I almost never play them on the road. But you could certainly do so tonight. Jordan Love is bad enough where you can do it. Neither of these two teams made my top. Actually, Royals are up there. Royals are third on the stack list for me. None of my main teams, but I think either side of this game looks pretty good, honestly.
What about a little Charlie Blackmon tonight, Boyton? Only in a stack?
So I've got both of the sides of this game in my core, actually. It's something I don't do very often. Really like the hitting weather. We've seen it work a ton already this year. I like this Rockies lineup a little bit better now that they have some injuries to the older guys. They called up Nolan Jones. They've got young, talented guys at the back of the lineup. They got Richik back recently. He's been hitting well. Jordan Lyles just gives up so much power. 2.34 home runs per nine on the year is by far the highest on the slate. Just an extreme fly ball pitcher, 29% ground ball rate on the season. So he's just going to be basically hoping for warning track fly balls all game, which, could totally happen because it's the Rockies. But worst xFIP on the slate for Lyles. And then on the other side, the Royals have just been kind of a different team at home. Chase Anderson, lowest swing strike rate on the slate. Actually, the two pitchers in this game have the two lowest, 7% and 6%. So it's going to be a lot of contact, a lot of balls in play in what I think is the best hitting weather on the slate. Two teams that I don't play very often. This is kind of a weird slate for me, especially a Friday night slate, DC, where I feel like we usually load up on like the big offenses. But I like the pitching up top. So I'm kind of dumpster diving a bit with the weaker offenses that I think are in good spots. And I think that these are two of the best.
Interesting. I'm trying to figure this out here because Anderson has not gotten beaten up yet. This could be the night. But again, everybody's on the Royals, so what could go wrong? And how owned is Elias Diaz going to be tonight at 5K? Rockies on the road, like 1%?
Low. Yeah.
Huh?
Super low.
Yeah, super extra low. So maybe we get a little lucky with him tonight. Let's keep moving on. Keep rolling. We got another 8 games to go and locks in a while from now. Cleveland, Minnesota. You just mentioned Minnesota. Is there anything in this game, DC, with Ober and Savali going head to head?
I'm not a believer in Savali really whatsoever. So if you wanted to go to Minnesota side, you could, but they're dealing with injuries like they always are. No Buxton, no Correa in the lineup. It's really a pretty uninspiring offense for the most part. I do think the top 3, Polanco, Royce Lewis, who's been awesome since being called up. Like we said, started at 2K. I said he'd be between 4 and 5K in a couple of weeks. He's up to 3,100, but I still think he's a good value at that price point. And then Alex Kirilloff has hit well. So I do like those 3 twins, the Polanco, Lewis, Kirilloff, top of the order. Don't love anything beyond that. Joey Gallo is an okay play today, but he's been ice cold. Still think the power potential is there. And then, I don't usually go much against Bailey Ober and won't do that tonight. So, not going to have a ton of this game, honestly.
All right. So Cleveland, Minnesota, Boyden.
Yeah, I was in on the Twins, so I saw this lineup. They did get Polanco back recently, which helps, but then obviously they lose Buxton. I don't believe Savali's long for the rotation. I know he just came back, but like their young arms have been really, really good. I'd be surprised if they push those guys back to AAA if they're actually trying to win games. I think Savali works better as like a long reliever. So Twins got axed for me with this lineup. I mean, they got Donovan Solano hitting cleanup. And then I'm with DC. I believe Ober is a pretty good pitcher, and I think I've played Cleveland all season. So no bets here.
So Steve does something at RPS that not a lot of guys have the honor of doing, and that would be the playbook, all right, for Major League Baseball. Now, we got playbooks for everything. We got playbooks for baseball, NBA, think about it, NFL, everything. So Uncle T did it tonight, Steve, but when you sign up at RPS, by the way, summer 33% off the subscription. You want to get in on that now because you're not going to get this deal again. Plus, you get SaberSim. But when they sign up and they check it out, how does the playbook help our subscribers, Steve?
Yeah, so we got our guy Uncle T on the Friday playbook. I do Tuesday, Wednesday. What it is it basically lays out, it starts with the top pitching options on the slate, list who's in play with like our projections from Saber, the strikeout props, some good information there. And then right below that, there's pitching notes on all of the pitchers that are listed as the pitching options. So, you can talk about why you're on a guy, why you might be higher or lower than the field, stats to back it up, just a discussion on each arm that is in the pool. That's followed by a player pool at each position for whoever's doing the playbook that day. And then a slate summary, which talks about weather, favorite stacks, and just overall approach to the slate. So it's an awesome starting point, especially for a slate this big. Like you get off work late, you have half an hour before the slate. you get 13 games. That can be a lot to digest quickly. So it's a great starting point. It's where I start my day when I don't do the playbook myself. And I think it's our greatest asset, honestly.
All right. Summer 33% off. Get in there now. You get SaberSim, our optimizer too. You don't see other sites giving you the optimizer too. Tigers at the White Sox, 8.5 total here. DC, this would be interesting because Reese Olson's making his major league debut today. That's for the Tigers. He's a guy that struggled in AAA to start the season. They did a little tweaking with his mechanics. He's had 3 good starts there. He is wild. He does walk guys, but then again, the White Sox like to swing at pitches out of the strike zone. So any thoughts on Reese Olson here going up against Reese Olson? Then obviously on the other side with Clevenger, we kind of know what he brings too.
Yeah, digging into Reese Olson a little bit, obviously making I think it's his MLB debut. The one thing I found last 2 years, he's had pretty significant reverse splits. He throws from the right side. That means, for those unaware, that right-handed hitters have actually hit him significantly better than lefties, which is a pretty rare phenomenon. Doesn't always stick. It's not a largest sample size. Sometimes things turn around in the major leagues, but it's pretty rare to see that for the amount of innings that he's thrown the last 2 years. So that was the first thing that stood out, which is a good thing if you like this White Sox team. The guys that you want, or at least the guys that I want to play, Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, I guess to some extent, Tim Anderson, all do swing from the right side, which, so theoretically that's a better matchup for them than you might expect. I know Reese Olson has pitched better these last couple of starts in the minors. I think he is a pretty low talented dude, and I would expect. I would expect him to struggle there. I think I'm back now. I've cut out there for a second.
Yeah, we got you. You said I would expect to, and then you cut out. We're like, what? You expect him to what?
Yeah, so I'm in on the White Sox bats here a little bit, specifically those 3 guys, Anderson, Robert, Jimenez. And then a couple of my favorite plays. Maybe no surprise to people that have been watching the premium shows or looking at my cores. But just the top 2, really, in the Tigers lineup. Zach McKinstry, Akil Baddoo, 2 guys that I've been on for the Tigers. They've been hitting well. Clevenger, this is a perfect matchup for these guys. Clevenger really struggles against lefties. He's been bad anyway. He also can't stop the running game, giving up a bunch of steals this year despite missing time. And Yasmani Grandal has, I think, the lowest caught stealing percentage of any catcher that has thrown. That has caught significant innings. So McKinstry's got 10 steals on the year. Baddoo can run. They both got the platoon advantage. They're both pretty cheap. And, I really love that little 2-man stack for the Tigers. I don't particularly want to play Javier Baez or Torkelson or really anybody else in the lineup, so I'm personally cutting it off at just those 2. I know that's not a strategy that everybody likes to employ in MLB DFS, but it is one that I'll be using myself tonight. So, McKinstry, Baddoo, 2 of my favorite plays on this slate.
What happened to Javi Baez? Seriously, what happened to this guy? He's going to be a superstar for a long time.
He was great for a while in Chicago,
but he can't lay off a slider.
Yeah, they finally figured that out. What's Addison Russell doing these days too? Is he still over in Korea or something like that? Just talking about old Cubs.
I think what happened to Baez, he was always had the worst plate discipline in the league, right? He could never lay off the slider. That didn't change. But I think it's easier to get away with that when you're a premium young athlete, right? Like a 23-year-old, 24-year-old in your prime. You start to lose a little bit of that fast twitch athleticism like he has. The flaws in his game kind of get exposed quickly. I think that's what's happened there.
He's fat. Are we going back to the fat conversation? I didn't think Javier Baez was fat, guys.
No.
Redman,
fat, no.
I don't think he's fat.
Maybe lazy.
He plays fat? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
He plays
got
fat.
paid. I mean, that makes some sense.
That's being worse. That's worse than actually being fat, is playing fat. Steve, anything here with the Tigers tribe?
Yeah, I love both sides here. I'm with
Really?
DC on the Tigers.
Okay.
I'm playing some mini stacks of them. Really like the White Sox. I don't think this guy's ready. I don't really care that he had a couple of good starts in AAA. I was going to bring up the handedness thing, the reverse split, so I don't have to do that. And this White Sox team has started to hit a bit lately. It's warm here in Chicago. It's 80 something. I just think it's a really good spot for them to kick off the weekend with batting around this guy making his debut. I don't really believe that he's going to be anything special. He's like their number 10 prospect. This is not like a top 25 guy that's making his debut. He's kind of making his debut just kind of because. And I like the lineup for the White Sox. The bottom of the order has been hitting a bit with Remy Gonzalez. You got Gavin Sheets hitting 8th, who has power. I wish Tim Anderson would do something this season. I don't know what's going on with him.
It's so bad.
But yeah, I do have White Sox in the pool, and I've got Tigers minis with McKinstry, Baду, and I'll add Eric Haas in there. Covers the catcher position for you for the Tigers.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about Ohtani and Framber back in the pitching side, and a lot of us are playing Framber and or Ohtani tonight. Framber has great numbers. I know it's BVP and everything, but Trout and Ohtani have not been able to hit this dude. On the other side of things, do we really want to target Ohtani too? DC, one off in this game, LA at Houston? Or no?
No, I'm not going to do the bats here, no.
Steve?
Got both pitchers in my core, so no.
All right, stick a fork in that one. We'll move on to the next game. We only got 3 left, guys. Like button would be great. I have not looked at the YouTube stream to see how many we got. Really don't give a damn, to tell you the truth. We're still going to give you the plays. I'm still going to give you the code SUMMER33, 33% off your subscription. But we're going to get to the Cubs and the Padres, and this game is in San Diego. So DC, Waka, Tyone, 2 pitchers that really have not been great, to say the least. Tough ballpark to hit in. With that being said, maybe you can find a bat or 2 for us. Yes or no?
I don't think it's crazy to go to bats here. It's 2 pitchers that I don't really believe in, especially the Tyone side. So definitely prefer Padres hitters here. Tyone just not been good for the Cubs. I think he's kind of past it at this point. Don't love the Padres lineup kind of in general. They do get Manny Machado back from his wrist injury. I'll be waiting to see it from Machado before I play him. He wasn't doing much before he got hurt, and coming back from that type of injury can be tough anyway. So I need to see it from Machado before he's in my own lineups, but theoretically it does improve this lineup. And yeah, we talked about Waka. I think he's a pretty reasonable play. This Cubs lineup has gone pretty cold for the most part. But if you wanted to pick off one-offs here, my favorites would be Ian Happ. And I know Christopher Morel's been cold, but obviously capable of a big game at any time. So he would be my second choice.
All right, real quick. Joey Gallo's been scratched, so get him out of your lineups if you're playing the Twins tonight, and he's in there. Blue Jays Mets is in a rain delay already, so get going for that one. A couple pieces of news that we had to get out there. So, again, rain delay in New York with Toronto and the Mets. And Joey Gallo has been scratched. Cubs at the Padres, Steve. Any bats?
Yeah, I do want to say for that Mets game, I think that's going to be fine after the delay. So
okay.
I'm still playing Mets bats. If we don't get a delay with the Boston game, I'm not going to play pitchers because I think that we're going to get rain during the game. We're on the Padres, right? Yeah, so I think it's a good spot for the Padres. Tyone's been really bad, but it's on the West Coast. I don't love the weather here. I'm playing the games that are in 85-degree weather tonight. Pretty chilly on the West Coast. Like DC said, Machado's back, but coming off wrist injuries, if you just fade these guys for the first couple of weeks, it's usually pretty profitable. So wait and see here. Maybe it'll be warmer over the weekend in San Diego. We can grab some bats there. But yeah.
What's Walker doing? Because he kind of turned it around his last 3 starts or so. Hard hit rate isn't there. He's not getting barreled up. I don't know.
I mean, he's just kind of been the same guy. He's always been a decent, above average major league pitcher. He's going to have good starts and bad starts. I mean, good starts and average starts, I guess I'll say. I'm pulling up who he's faced lately. Not the easiest schedule. He faced Boston, the Yankees. He was really good in that Kansas City start. Yeah, I don't know. The strikeout rate isn't there for me on a slate this big, though.
Okay, very good. Plug that in just a minute. What did I see here in just a second? Well, they're talking Nico Horner here, but no, Jim McNamee. He's 45 minutes south of Boston. Does that mean you're in Providence? Because that's 45 minutes south of Boston. Rain travels east to west. Well, I mean, sometimes if it's a really crazy vortex, it goes west to east. So, don't.
Rain travels east. The chat cracks me up.
Yeah. Universal law of the universe, the travel of rain.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Glad that I sabotaged the show.
Let me give a little weather update because I saw some questions on Kansas City as well. That game looks fine to me. I'm not worried about that Kansas City game.
Especially for bats, and we're not playing the pitchers.
Yeah, I don't think you shouldn't be playing Chase Anderson and Jordan Lyles. If you are, use the rain as an excuse to get off of them. Bats should be good to go in that game. I'm with Steve. I think the Mets and Blue Jays will be fine after a brief delay. I wouldn't worry about that. And then Boston is the one that I'm still concerned about. Growing concern, honestly. Getting more and more worried. The storms that you're worried about are actually traveling, believe it or not, north to south.
No, it's impossible.
Yeah,
I love the travel north to south.
I love Jim's comment. You ever heard of a nor'easter kid?
Nor'easter.
The weather trash talk. Always
nor'easter.
Yeah, you made it when you're trash talking weather on Friday.
Yeah,
good job.
Definitely hit new heights on this show.
So yeah. I would be really surprised if they don't delay this Boston game. I mean, the rain's coming there. You can just see it. It's going to start pouring. Like if they started on time, they're going to get in like 1 or 2 innings before they have to delay for a significant amount of time. So I do think they'll start and delay, and it looks like it could rain for a while and potentially pretty heavily. So, yeah. 13 games late, unless you're really, really sold on it, I'd probably move off that game at this point.
Did you guys check out the cores here? Big T is putting 4 DK cores out tonight. 4 DK cores and a FanDuel core for his main team.
Holden, he's done that all week.
Don't worry about it. Just keep going with it.
I believe he made an announcement.
You couldn't just shut up. I was trying to sell the site, and you had to rat me out? Come on, man.
He made a big announcement.
Here, you know what? Screw you, Boynton. Get out of here. All right, I'll put you back in because it's all screwy right now. But yeah, 4 cores from Tony on DK, 1 for FanDuel, the whole player pool. DC gives his player pool. You've got cores out the yin yang here. 33% off with the code SUMMER33. You'll get our optimizer Saber Sim too, and you can go in the chat and talk to one. Who's your favorite subscriber, Steve Boynton? Is it Nikki Diesel? Is that your favorite subscriber?
I like Barrick.
You like Barrick?
That's what I was going to say.
So you don't like Nikki Diesel is what you're saying. That's not nice. I like
Barrick. Barrick plays college basketball with me every slate.
Okay. I like Barrick too. And you were going to say the same thing, DC?
Yeah, he thanks me, privately DMs me when when the cores come through. So I appreciate the love from Barrick.
So you've gotten like what, two of the DMs this year? How many DMs?
I believe there's been 1 in the last 3 years.
That's not true. You're good at what you do. I bust balls, and now you're being self-deprecating.
Barrick's
okay, just a few games left. Just a few. You're in the shades now, Boynton. It's got to be tough to see when you got the shade rolling in your studio.
The sun has breached my.
It has. Atlanta, Arizona. Like button would be great. Don't forget to do that. Atlanta, Arizona. We talked about Merrill Kelly. DC, I think you don't mind Charlie Morton. I kind of was looking at Arizona just a little bit. Maybe they could get to Charlie Morton, and then I'm completely off him after listening to you guys because I like Kansas City and Colorado a little bit more. So anything from this game, Atlanta and Arizona. And we got a total of 9, though. It's a healthy total.
Kind of surprised Arizona's total is as high as it is. I mean, I personally think Atlanta should be favored in this game. It's got a way better lineup, I think, than Arizona does. I know Merrill Kelly has pitched well. I'm not really bought into what he's doing. I do think the Braves I would put him in maybe the, I don't know, Blue Jays category of kind of a sneaky stack, great offense.
Yeah.
On paper, I guess a little bit of a tough matchup, but obviously the Braves can get to Merrill Kelly if they're on their game tonight. So I do like them as a sneaky stack. And I kind of like Morton. I mean, this Diamondbacks lineup, are you really that scared of it? Like, best hitter is Corbin Carroll. I know he's good, but he's still a rookie. Like, I just don't see that much to be scared of here for Charlie Morton. So, yeah, I do like him more and more, kind of looking into this matchup. And, yeah, he'll be really low owned. So, yeah, I'm in on Morton today.
Mangone's 3 max chart is up in there for those of you playing single entry 3 maxes. That's up there. So get in there for lock. We got, about 20-something minutes to lock, 22 minutes or so. Boynton, Atlanta, Arizona. Any bats?
Yeah, it feels weird being on a Friday night show and just not going all in on Braves.
So maybe we should.
Merrill Kelly's been so damn nails at home for kind of like year over year. Much prefer the Braves against lefties. They've been pretty underwhelming against right-handed pitching this season. 21st in weighted runs created plus is pretty shocking on the season. They do have the power though, right? So, if the power comes through, the Arizona bullpen is pretty bad behind him. So if they can get to Kelly, they can have a good night. I think the Snakes are interesting. I kind of played both sides of that Rockies-Snakes series all week to my own detriment. Kind of felt like they were close to breaking it open the whole series. I'm not going to attack Chuck Morton here, though, in the Braves bullpen. Maybe sometime later this weekend in this series. I haven't checked the roof. They've had it open all week, though. So I'd be surprised if it's closed here.
All right, let's go. Let's keep going. Just a couple more games, and we got the weekend. You got some MMA shows coming up? I know Title's kind of feeling under the weather. I'm sure he'll suck it up and do it. What's your weekend schedule, DC? And then we'll get Steve's, and then I'll give you my weekend schedule. It'll be wonderful, so you can tune in and get some winners. What's the schedule here, DC?
Yep, MMA show tomorrow morning, 11 Eastern time, for a pretty fun UFC card. Of course, we'll have Coors. No weekend baseball shows for me, but I usually do Coors at least usually 2 on Saturday, and then for the Sunday main slate as well. So we'll have all that good content up. I do think we always have the Sunday morning baseball show as well. And then, back to kind of normal programming on Monday. But 11 Eastern time for MMA tomorrow for those interested.
Screw you, Uncle T. Yes, Steve Boyden.
My sister's texting me, your favorite subscriber better be me. Fucking asshole. Sorry, Michelle. I'm not
married, right? I think I asked you that a ton when I was single.
No, she's not married.
She's single again. Oh, boy.
She's single. She's in actual Northern Virginia. She's in Alexandria, not Gainesville. I'm not in any or on any shows this weekend. Yeah. I will say, DC, did you see the cool thing that DK came out with today for UFC? They're doing like a bracket style final type thing like they have with college basketball. It looks pretty interesting. I did get
the notification when I opened up my DK app on my phone, but I gave it the what is it? Happy for you or sorry that happened to you, but I didn't know that.
It was long.
Yeah. So, but it did look cool. I agree.
Yeah. All right, and then Sunday, if you're into baseball on Sunday mornings, do a little betting. DFS combo. My guys JJ and Joey work from the bet side, myself. Then I think this week we got Gary on the show. So we got that coming up at noon Eastern. We'll have an NBA Showdown show, 10:30 Eastern. At least that's what the schedule says for now. JSU and Tony will be on that. And then we do NASCAR shows. So Sunday, very, very, very busy day for content as well. And we always do that baseball show at noon. So hop on over and check it out. Couple games to go, and then we're going to go. Yankees, Doyers, Luis Severino, Clayton Kershaw. Boynton hasn't done a game before DC, so let me at least give him this one. Severino's working his way back here. Kershaw, we know, has had some hiccups since the personal tragedy just before Mother's Day. So talk to me here. Boynton, any bats from this game? Because, you never can fault someone for playing Judge.
So I don't get to start with the game all slate, and then you
The
give
one
me
that you don't want, right?
one where I like both the pitchers. That's great.
Right.
No bats here. Really, really like Kershaw in this spot. I just uploaded my CSV. He's my highest owned arm on the slate. And I like Severino enough and the Yankees bullpen enough that I'm not going to play Dodgers in this spot, maybe later this weekend. So, yeah, no bats here.
What do you got, DC?
Pretty much same with Steve. It would be the Dodgers side that I'd be more likely to go to. They've been really good recently. Freeman's been on fire.
Yeah.
Severino has looked pretty good in his 2 starts, but I'm always willing to take a contrarian stack against a pitcher just making his 3rd start of the year against a really, really tough lineup. So I don't actually get to the Dodgers on my few lineups, but it would be that side that I'd be more likely to play.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's go back to Steve anyways, because hopefully he's not playing much Baltimore, San Francisco, but I know that he likes the Orioles just as a team. So you want any O's in San Francisco tonight? Webb and Creamer. Maybe you want a couple of bats from San Francisco. Talk to me, Boynton.
Yeah, I'm on Webb here. I like the lineup that he gets to face with the O's. I mentioned it earlier. Adam Frazier leading off. Aaron Hicks is hitting 6. I actually didn't even know that he was on the Orioles, honestly.
Yeah, he got picked up when Ced Mullins. Didn't Ced Mullins a little hurt, and they got him.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, of all the guys to pick up, Aaron Hicks would not be on my list. But so he's hitting 6, O'Hearn hitting 7. Pretty weak lineup there for the Orioles at West with good weather. So I'm on Webb here. I think some people are going to play the Giants here. Dean Kramer, not anything great. He's kind of league average, maybe a little bit below league average, like 4.5 ERA guy. I just hate the park. I don't like the pinch hit risk. And the Orioles bullpen has been really, really good, like top 5-ish bullpen on the season. So I think that's kind of an underrated thing to look at when stacking up a team, because like you see all the time, runs late in games can win slates, and there aren't many runs to be had late against this Orioles pen with Cano back there.
DC, final game of the night?
Yeah, not a ton here. For me, it would be probably left-handed power on both sides that I'd be most likely to play, but not really any interest in going against Webb. You can go to the Giants here. I just think there are better spots, clearly. Quite a few of them, frankly, on this slate than the Giants. So, yeah, not many bats here. I think Logan Webb, the pitcher, obviously the best play overall in this game.
All right, you see the banner down there, Summer 33. Those that use the promo, 33% off even weekly and monthly packages only. It's for your first payment, 33% off, Summer 33. Let's get into our plays of the day here, and then we'll get out. And don't forget to hit the like button. That'd be wonderful. DC, give it to us. Who's your play of the day?
I don't know if it was a show with you, Holden, but maybe yesterday, 2 days ago, I gave a little 3-man stack. I got a little bit different. It was the 9-1-2, the AP reach around special.
Oh, I was there, unfortunately.
It came through. I think they combined for like 40 plus fantasy points. Not a reach around special today, but we do got a 2-man stack. I talked about it earlier. Zach McKinstry, Akil Baddoo atop that Tigers lineup against Mike Clevenger. I think both guys get a stolen base, and they're going to get us to 30 combined points together. McKinstry, Baddoo, the DC combo meal play of the day.
What do you got, Boynton?
I'm going to go with someone in that Kauffman Stadium game.
Oh, yeah.
A guy that the Rockies called up recently, Nolan Jones.
Nolan
he was
Jones.
a second-round pick in like 2016 or 17, scuffled for a while. But, man, he was absolutely raking in the minors. I think he had like a 1,200 OPS, power and speed, has gotten off to a really nice start since they called him up with CJ Cron being hurt. He's got first base and outfield eligibility, so fits teams well. He's 2,900 on DK. He's my favorite bat on the slate.
Yeah, that was my guy. I had him pulled up, so I'm going to go McMahon. I'll just stay right there with you. You're going up against a pitching machine. I know McMahon had those monster games, last 2 against Arizona, came back down to earth. I think tonight's the night that McMahon gets going. Maybe it'll be the end of his streak. Maybe it'll be the end of the hot streak, but he's pretty damn good. Any final thoughts on the weather, DC? Or are we just done off of Boston? We're just See, I remembered something. I was supposed to ask you. I'm proud of myself.
There we go.
All right. What do you got, DC, on the weather?
That's good. The chat seems to have graded you somewhere between a C- and a D- for your performance on the show. But I'm going to give you a little bump and give you a solid C now that you remembered the weather
you
question.
Get an F. Shut up. Give me the weather.
Yeah, I'm off of Boston. I think everything else is safe.
All right. Very good. Boynton, final thoughts there? Anything?
Same here on the weather, and I will say I am looking forward to the next Kush the Mush video. Hopefully we can win over the weekend.
I've been winning too. He's been winning too many bets. Is the problem?
I faded him last night with a triple-double bet.
Kush the Mush will start losing soon. I'm just saying, if you're betting against him, don't worry about it. Long term, you're going to make money. It's as simple as that.
I'm going to keep fading him.
I'll keep fading him. Keep fading Kush the Mush. We'll have a new one out before Sunday. Check that one out for DC. And for Boynton, 33% off weekly or monthly packages. First payment, summer 33. I'm Holden. Keep running pure.